no?
Yeah, we
How
start.
do we do this?
We'll start.
Yeah.
We'll walk in one by one.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about some real-world use cases of blockchain, and today's session is about how IQVIA is streamlining drug labeling. Should be a really interesting session, so we're excited that everyone's here. Just really quickly, because we want to get into the nitty-gritty of the content. My name is Andrew. I'm Director of Product Design for Emerging Technologies here at Salesforce. Most of the speaking is going to be done not by me today. It's going to be done by Suresh, who's VP and General Manager at IQVIA, as well as Mal, who's VP and Head of Innovation and Emerging Technologies at IQVIA. So very quickly, if you hadn't seen the keynote this morning, Salesforce announced Salesforce Blockchain. It's the industry's first declarative blockchain platform integrated with CRM. It's extremely exciting. We've been working a long time on this, and we think you're really going to enjoy it. So what are we looking at here? What did we see in the keynote? It's really easy to build declaratively, clicks not code. You can automate it, integrate seamlessly with our platform, all the products and services that you know from Salesforce over the last 20 years. And it's really easy to engage partners. And so, after the session, we'll be hanging around. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, we're happy to talk about it, or there's a demo booth in the back. Now, to get on with it, let's talk a little bit about IQVIA, and then we're going to have Suresh come up. So IQVIA, if you're not familiar, they are a leading global company that provides technology services, analytics services, contract research services in the life sciences industry. They're an incredible company. A large company, in fact, 42 different countries, almost 60,000 employees, and just in 2019, they were named one of Fortune's magazine's world's most admired companies. So it's an incredible story. They've been an incredible partner to Salesforce very broadly over the last couple years, and then now, very specifically, with our work with them on their blockchain products. We worked with them very early in this, and we think that there is a really compelling and interesting use case here. So please welcome Suresh, who's going to come up and talk about the use cases.
You good? Thanks, Andrew. Good afternoon. I'm Suresh Kannan. Like Andrew said, I represent IQVIA here. I'm a general manager and vice president for a technology group called Content Management. How many of you know IQVIA? I know you do, and then some employees I see. Okay, very good. How many of you from life sciences in general, besides IQVIA? Okay, we got a few. Okay, very good. IQVIA, it's a combination of two major marquee companies, IMS Health, who were traditionally focused on commercial data analytics and marketscaping for the life sciences industry, and Quintiles, who are a large contract research organization, number one, in fact, in the industry, focused on the research side, research and development side of life sciences industry. As you know, it's a big market, and these two companies saw a reason to combine both technology and analytic expertise of IMS and the global reach and execution capabilities of Quintiles, and we found IQVIA. So IQVIA, we have, let me flip a slide. Whatever we do is powered by what we call IQVIA Core. The core of IQVIA, both on technology side and services, is simply articulated in these 4 or 5 pillars, if you will. Unparalleled data assets. We collect data around the globe on patients and providers and on drugs and devices, how they are used, how they are consumed, how does it help research in an anonymized fashion. And how do we do that with our army of data scientists, statisticians, analysts, AI, ML programmers now, and powering, looking at the data and how does it inform future research. How do we bring drugs to market faster? Where do we find the patients population that is relevant to test these drugs or devices? Which are the doctors who should approach to conduct research? Or once the drug is approved, and who are the doctors you go and reach out to and promote your drug through the traditional CRM or channel, if you will, right, on the commercial side. So we have unparalleled access to data. We've been doing this for over 50 some years, and 100,000 suppliers around the world, data suppliers, I mean. And then we have advanced analytic capabilities. Now we are heavily focused on technology. I mean, life sciences industry as a whole was a lot of manpower, repetitive processes, a lot of documents and data repeatedly processed through. So how do we apply technology and the innovation that are happening in technology to accelerate drug development and getting drugs to market faster, therapies to market faster? So our emphasis is on investing in technology, partnering with leading providers like Salesforce, and we started on the commercial side. We launched a product called OCE, orchestrated content, orchestrated commercial engagement. Now we have expanded that to the R&D side. Now today you're going to be hearing about another area, which is regulatory aspect of managing life sciences. How do we use Salesforce and especially blockchain technology? And we bring our domain expertise. We have execution capabilities over 120 countries in the world, and we have experts who can do everything from helping you research once you have a drug or molecule or a compound to research on, all the way through trial execution, submission, and launching the product, pricing, and actually selling, helping you sell and market. So that is IQVIA in general for you. We've been a tremendous partner to a lot of large and emerging biopharmas and device companies around the world. And now we are looking at opportunities. I specifically manage a group called content management. There's a lot of data and there is unstructured information that we deal with. With the explosion of digital channels and patient data being collected, wearables, you have a lot of information coming in. As a healthcare provider, as a clinical researcher, you have a lot of information that you got to deal with, both structured and unstructured form. And my group specifically focuses on developing applications to manage this unstructured content in whatever granularity, in whatever digital type it may be. That goes from clinical R&D aspect of life sciences. The regulatory aspect is what we are going to be talking about today on VRM Smart, or the commercial or quality and manufacturing across the board, what we call molecule to market in life sciences. So one particular area that we are going to be focused on today, where blockchain would be very highly valuable, is managing regulatory operations and regulatory affairs. By that, I mean, if you're researching a new drug, and if you need to launch it, you got to submit, you got to collect evidence that the drug really indeed works, and it is efficacious, and it is safe for human consumption or use. So to do that, you got to submit a lot of information to the regulatory authorities around the world, and there is a process involved. Every authority, be it FDA in the US, or EMA in Europe, or CFDA, or other agencies around the world, they have specific expectations from the drug manufacturers on what you need to submit, in what format you got to submit in. So managing all of that, whether you're launching a new drug, or when the drug is in the market, how do you stay compliant? And regulations are changing all the time. And how do you stay compliant, whether it is changing in the label, which we talk about today, or any other specific regulation that you must adhere to so you are not penalized, if you will, right? So managing all of this has been done traditionally in our industry through a lot of throwing bodies at the problem, and that simply doesn't scale. It's reached a breaking point, essentially. So we launched a new technology called VRM Smart. VRM stands for Regulatory Information Management. It's a whole host of capabilities to manage this whole regulatory affairs and operations capability at an industry conference, Drug Industry Association conference a few months ago. So it's a total end-to-end solution to manage regulatory interactions and keeping your drug from the get-go as you're researching and launching the product all the way through off-patent and end of cycle of the product, and managing the whole interactions around the globe. So IQVIA VRM Smart has a lot of components. Obviously, you're generating a lot of content, the core content management capabilities, granular authoring, and so on. Regulatory intelligence, we collect data and information about how regulations are changing and curate them and keep them in an actionable form for our use, and then embedding that intelligence into our product to be able to drive workflows efficiency so you're compliant always all the time. And you're also, as a drug or a device manufacturer, you're constantly interacting with various regulatory authorities around the world in terms of what is coming, when are you launching, when are you submitting. So the correspondence and communication commitments you're making as a vendor to the agency, all of that is managed in one system. So one system, broad umbrella of capabilities, from product registrations as you're launching, keeping up with the change in regulations, all the way through retirement. One area that we are going to be focusing on is label management. It's a simple thing. Mal, my colleague, will explain what it is. When you buy a product, whatever you see on the outside, the active ingredients, what form it is, what is the dosage, are there any warnings that you must post on the label? It's a very, very critical piece of drug or a device, for that matter, and it goes through a lot of review and approval process and submission. So it has its own life cycle, and it's a complex activity because it varies by region, by country, and what you must do and not do. So that's what we're going to be focused on. It has a fantastic application of blockchain because it's information, critical information, shared with multiple parties at near real time. So we've been doing this through email or posting a file in a box or some cloud share or other old-fashioned mechanism, if you will. Now, with the number of parties involved in managing such a complex and sensitive information, blockchain technology, and specifically Salesforce Blockchain, is going to really help us do that in a more efficient way. And Mal, I'll invite my colleague who heads up our innovation team on the technology side to speak to what we are really doing and how we are collaborating with Salesforce to actually bring this to life. Thank you, Mal.
Thank you. That was good, right? Yeah. Yeah. Let me speak as an IT architect for a minute, right? We've heard the story of, our industry, and you imagine, right? Here's a real life case. Something has happened in the market. There's been an adverse event. Somebody may have unfortunately died, right? We have to change that drug label as quick as possible to save, obviously, other people's lives. So what is the workflow? What is the architecture for changing a drug label? Now, I thought coming into this, working with Suresh, that's pretty simple. You're changing a label. How complicated can that be? Boy, oh boy, you don't understand how many people have touch points, right? The regulators, the art designers, the pharmaceutical company themselves. There's lots of different people that have to talk around agreeing the change to a drug label. But we have to do it really quickly, right? So we just died, right? We have to get it out there. So this is a diagram. I apologize, it's a very technical diagram. I'm a techie. When you look at the middle layer here, everybody knows as an architect, to architect really well, you have to loosely couple your workflow from your business application. So the middle layer here is a workflow. You start with an event and you end with an outcome. And at certain points in the workflow, you call different business applications. This is standard good architecture principle, right? Everybody knows that. And at the business application layer, you have data persistent storage, you have user interface, right? That's the business application layer. But behind that, you have the workflow. The workflow has rules, it has, AI, machine learning to govern that. This is the world we live in today, right? So here's the big question I pose to you as fellow architects. Where does blockchain really fit in? Is it just supply chain? Is it just Bitcoin? No, hang on. You heard the keynote today, right? And Andrea will contest to this. Just imagine in any workflow, here's a challenge I would give to you. Any system you're designing today, if you have events that have, I want to create a record of immutable evidence, forensic for future audit case. At the moment, you're doing that at that business layer. One company is owning that database. And they say, I've got security. Sorry, it's not good enough. So here's a way of thinking architecturally, hence this diagram. It's a layer below your workflow. At certain points in your workflow, you may say, I've reached a milestone, I need to record something on this date and share it across a number of stakeholders. Never been done before. Never been done before. So now we have a blockchain layer, which is part of our architecture stack as architects. We should think as architects, when we talk to our clients or within Salesforce, is this is literally is a new layer. Here's the second point, which is really important. Layer 1, business applications. Company A own application 1, company B own application number 2. Another company could own the workflow. Let's call it industry as a service, not software as a service, right? But that's all coded by single companies. Here's the thing with blockchain. For the first time ever, we're having to collaborate on what we call smart contracts, on how we run the blockchain. Never been done before. It's collaborative coding. Collaborative coding. Just think about that. So I'll leave this slide with you, and hopefully it's available through Andrew and in the deck, but architecturally, think of blockchain not as, oh, it's supply chain, oh, it's just this Bitcoin. It's a new architectural tool we have in our tool bag to say, if there's pieces of evidence through our workflow that we need to share across multiple companies, we can now push that down to the blockchain. And I think we talked about, we talked about drug label, right? Imagine you've got the Doctor Who TARDIS, right? And you can move the TARDIS back to, I don't know, 2nd of January 1918. What was a drug label at that time? But not only that, put your headphones on. What else was happening at that time? This is how we've got to think going forward. It's the whole contextual way of looking at how events change over time, which has immutable, non-changeable evidence. This, I think, as an architect and obviously leading blockchain with my company, is a real game changer. But it's an architectural construct that we've not seen before. Sorry, I've been rabbiting on too much. Label management. So here today, right? Here are all the people, bottom left, that get involved in label management. Guess what? They all have their own different colored databases. Nobody has a consistent view. We have this project manager who's trying to, spin all the plates. There's inconsistency of tracking of changes, right? There is no version control of label change. But that's how we live today. So, enter the blockchain. Now you invite all the people. Imagine you're inviting people around the table, that they're coming to your party, right? But now, guess what? They all have the same color database. They're all seeing the same information. However, here's where the skill is in designing the blockchain, the logic behind the blockchain is everybody doesn't have the same access rights. Some people can read, some people can, so you can assign from a RACI point of view who can do what within the blockchain. So now your workflow becomes in the middle of the table and your participants around the outside. And the key is still the governance, right? You need the governance, but this is a new technology that will allow that. So I think we're now going to a video. This is my colleague, Javishar, who's actually built this with Salesforce as a proof of concept on label change.
This is the story of how we prototyped the idea of streamlining the business processes around drug labels using the new and incredible Salesforce Blockchain toolset. A drug label refers to all the printed information included with any prescription drug. In its lifetime, a drug label is supported by many documents which are owned by actors from many companies, often globally located. When a drug label needs an update for some reason, a label change event is created. The actors act on the event by updating the documents and routing them for approvals. The event is closed with the creation of a new drug label. The label change event is a highly complex business process involving multiple participants and documents, often time-consuming due to the sheer amount of activities and interactions involved. Two goals are accomplished in this prototype. All the interactions and the activities are stored permanently on the blockchain so to help tracking and verification in the future. The chain is also used to relay contract events across enterprise components for efficient integration. Without the physical movement of the documents, the updates and their history are replicated real time across companies in their blockchains, thus speeding up the process. For the demo today, we have chosen the CCDS change control process that involves four actors located in two companies, IQVIA and the customers as shown. Let's get into the application flow. In this prototype on the Salesforce platform, a label change is a case that is opened when a workstream lead sends out an email to a pre-configured email ID. The regulatory writer is notified of the event who would start to make updates to the CCDS. The scientific reviewer would instantly receive the updates and could comment on them real time thanks to the capture of the updates on the blockchain. The finalized document is then submitted for a customer review. The document, the updates, and the history of the documents are instantly available to the customer thanks to the chain data replication process. The updated document is now available to the customers who could instantly review and approve the document real time without any physical movement of the document. This is a significant change of the label change process as the permanence and the provenance of the document changes are assured along with a fastened turnaround time. The three tools listed here, namely the Blockchain Manager, the Blockchain Connect, and the Blockchain Engage, form the Salesforce Blockchain toolset. The Blockchain Manager helps define a blockchain application in terms of its entities to be stored on the blockchain network, along with the rules and the governance of the entities. This is the Blockchain Manager that lists the drug label application named Label Chain. By clicking on Label Chain application, we land on the application details page. Let's have a look at its schema. There are 6 entities as you can see. An entity can be thought of as a table in the relational database paradigm. Entities have fields and they relate to one another. Blockchain Connect helps connect to on-the-chain entities and their data. This is achieved by choosing the entities and syncing them with the network. After syncing in the Blockchain Connect, the entities are made available as objects and can be explored in the object repository. Let's have a look at the object document header. The document header has many records as shown. We can add new records by clicking on the new button. The records are stored on the blockchain since they are blockchain connected objects. One interesting feature of the blockchain entity record is the blockchain timeline view that displays the history or the provenance of the record. This is the timeline view. The timeline view shows that the record is changed 4 times. By clicking on the boxes, the audit and what changed in the record is displayed. The Blockchain Engage supports an API layer that enables enterprise integration. In this prototype, a drugs label change is a Salesforce case created when a workstream lead sends an email mentioning the details of the change to a pre-configured email ID. The case states to check if the label for fibrogamin needs a change as per the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act updated as on 23rd May 2019. This is the CCDS authoring page as available to the workstream lead. Every change made to the document as part of the authoring process by the regulatory writer and the scientific reviewer is stored on the IQVIA blockchain and is available in this page. The workstream lead checks the completion of the document before submitting it for the customer review. The CCDS data, along with its entire history, is replicated on the customer's blockchain. This view is fully trusted as the customer gets to see the entire change history of the document with no worries of missed or modified audits.
That's it, guys. So thanks for attending. This is an incredible story with IQVIA. Let's give everyone a round of applause here, and we'll be done. So thank you.
Any questions from people?
I don't think we have time. We'll be standing around on the side if anybody has any questions. I know we're a little bit over time, so I just want to be cognizant of the next session that's coming in.